Welcome to The Needle, your Division I college basketball podcast. I'm Jack Williams, owner and operator of D1CoachCorner.com, your source for college basketball news, rankings, and predictions. On this podcast, we will present to you weekly conversations on D1 college basketball coaches and their teams. Don't forget to go right now on your computer, phone, or tablet and follow us on Twitter. This episode of The Needle is brought to you by D1CoachCorner.com, your source for Division I college basketball coaches. Thank you for tuning into our 26th episode of The Needle. Again, my name is Jack Williams, owner and operator of D1CoachCorner.com, your source for college basketball news, rankings, and predictions. D1 Coach Corner is the number one source for college basketball preseason predictions and college basketball coach evaluations. The Needle College Basketball Podcast will bring to you 52 weeks of college basketball talk on topics dealing with Division I college basketball coaches and their teams. In this episode of The Needle, we will be ranking the SEC conference for the 2019 and 2020 season. And then we will get into some college basketball news and our new Coach Impact segment of the show, which will highlight coaches who have recently taken over a team and has positively impacted that team as a result of him being there. If you like our show, go subscribe to our iTunes and YouTube channels. Let us continue to be your number one source for preseason college basketball predictions and coach evaluations. The SEC has been getting stronger and stronger with each year past. This year, it seems as if this is the strongest that this conference has been in several years. That's just my opinion. But when you look at the SEC and the quality of the coaches in it, man, you can clearly see that this is a conference where you're going to have to come and play every night. By the end of the 2019-2020 season, I really do believe that we are going to see at least 10 teams from this conference in a tournament, easily. The emergence of Georgia, Alabama, and now Arkansas. I believe that all three of these teams will be in heavy competition for the top of the SEC this season. And we're also seeing continuous growth in Auburn, Florida, LSU, and Tennessee, and all the rest. And we all know that the road to the top of the SEC must go through Kentucky. In my opinion, this is Kentucky's conference. To be honest with you, it's very hard to predict this conference this year for many reasons. One, all these new rules that's been put in place allowing nearly everybody to put their names in the draft, which has made predictions a little difficult. So as a disclaimer, there could be players returning to a team that we have no clue about. There could be players also transferring before the season begins. On top of that, there are several teams who still have at least one scholarship to fill as of June 3rd, 2019, and they are Alabama, Georgia, LSU, Kentucky, Missouri, Texas A&M, and Vanderbilt. Kentucky has 3 more scholarships to fill, but adding one more player to that team won't affect them at all. They are already very good. Texas A&M and LSU both have 2 more scholarships to fill, and so they could jump significantly depending on who they get. In addition, underclassmen have until May 29th to withdraw their names from the NBA draft, and players invited to the NBA Combine can still decide to return to school if they don't get drafted on June 20th. So unlike previous years, we will definitely do an updated prediction before the season begins in November 2019. But with all that said, most teams have filled their 13 scholarships, and we got a hint of how strong their teams are going to be in 2019-2020. Let's start with the teams that we are bullish about in the SEC: Kentucky, Ole Miss, Arkansas, and Mississippi State. We had Alabama in the mix right before learning that Tevin Mack had placed his name into the transfer portal. That knocks Alabama down just a little bit, but not by much. This is still a good team, but with what we have now, this is how we rank the SEC for the 2019-2020 season. First, Kentucky, number 1. Calipari's Kentucky teams are always rich in talent. That goes without saying. Calipari still has 3 scholarships remaining on the team that's already rich with great players. I like the play of top 25 ranked Tyrese Maxey, but I really like the play of top 50 recruit Khalil Whitney. He's a shooting guard slash small forward with an NBA type body. He has a mid-range jumper. He can make his own shot and can defend. He's high flying and can see the floor like a point guard. I like his all-around game, and I think that he's going to do well at Kentucky this coming season. With what they have now, my starting five should look like this: Ashton Hagans, Tyrese Maxey, Khalil Whitney, E.J. Montgomery, and Nate Sestina. Ashton Hagans was the starting point guard for Kentucky last season. He averaged 7.7 points, 2.6 rebounds, and 4.3 assists per game last season. So Kentucky has a dependable point guard, and backing him up should be Emmanuel Quickley, who played in 30 games last season and started in 7. E.J. Montgomery played in all 37 games last season and started in 10. He should see a dramatic increase in minutes played this coming season. He only played in an average of 15.1 minutes per game last season. That should increase. Kentucky also brought on graduate transfer Nate Sestina from Bucknell to start at the 5. Sestina is a monster in the paint. He can use that strong big body to muscle his players in the hole, and he can shoot. I think that this 2019-2020 Kentucky team is much better than the 2018-2019 team already. Now, who I have ranked at number 2 is Ole Miss. A Kermit Davis team is always dangerous. Ole Miss should get back their top 2 scorers from last season in Breen Tyree and Devontae Shuler. Expect KJ Buffett to play a bigger role in the 2020 season. Coach Davis has also added a top 50 freshman in Antavion Collum, a big body forward who plays well under the rim. Like I said before, this Ole Miss team under Kermit Davis is always dangerous. And now for my starting 5 for this team, I predict Breen Tyree, Devontae Shuler, Blake Henson, Tavion Collum, and KJ Buffin to start. Now, who I have ranked 3rd is Arkansas. Coach Musselman has just turned this Arkansas team into a major contender in just one season. Unlike most teams in the SEC, this team won't have a superstar. But this is an Eric Musselman type of team. A bunch of guys who can get up and down the court and could play. With the additions of graduate transfer Jantel Seiler and Jimmy Witt, Arkansas suddenly becomes a major contender in the SEC. There is a lot of firepower on this team. Expect scoring to be very high. On top of 2 good graduate transfers added to the team, Arkansas has 4 out of 5 starters returning from the 2018-2019 season in Isaiah Joe, Mason Jones, Jalen Harris, and Adrio Bailey. This has now become a very dangerous Arkansas team. And my projected starting 5 is Jalen Harris, Isaiah Joe, Mason Jones, Adrio Bailey, and Jantel Seiler, graduate transfer from UNC Wilmington. Ranked at number 4 is Mississippi State. The thing about Mississippi State is that they didn't lose many players from the 2018-2019 season. They really only lost Eric Holman and Quindary Weatherspoon to graduation, but everyone else should be returning, with the majority of his players returning and his new additions, Sienna's transfer power forward Prince Oduro and JUCO transfer Jethro Mbia from San Jacinto Central. Mississippi State has one of the strongest rosters in the SEC. The question is, can Coach Ben Howland lead this team to the top of the SEC or deep into the NCAA tournament? That's yet to be determined. However, this team should make it to the NCAA tournament next season without a problem. My projected starting 5 for this team is Lamar Peters, Nick Weatherspoon, Reggie Perry, Prince Oduro, and Abdul Adu. Tyson Carter was much active coming off the bench than he was starting. Even though he started only 11 games last season, he was Mississippi State's 3rd leading scorer behind Lamar Peters. But Lamar Peters, Nick Weatherspoon, and Abdul Adu all started last season. I think we will see a lot more of Reggie Perry in the starting lineup. He played in 34 games last season and started in only 17. Now, 3rd through 11th place in the SEC is probably going to be a big jumble. On paper, most of these teams are similar in strength, so it's extremely hard to predict, but we will take a shot at it anyway. Now, ranked at number 5 is Florida, but I feel that with a good roster like this, Mike White will find his way to the top of the SEC. And this year, he has a pretty good roster. I'm very excited about this Florida team because of 2 recruits, Trey Mann and Scotty Lewis. Trey Mann is a combo guard who can defend, shoot, and read the floor well. For a team who had problems scoring last season, Florida definitely leads his scoring ability. We'll probably see Mann play some point every now and then because of his ability to see the floor. Florida played great defense last season, like most Mike White teams, but they were not able to transition that good defense into offense. Now, this Scotty Lewis kid is a beast. He is a high-flying big man who could score at will. He is definitely NBA material. Florida needs him and Mann's scoring ability to lead the team to the next level. Barred that we don't have any major injuries, this Florida team has the ability to go deep into the NCAA tournament. Now, my projected 5 for this team is Andrew Nembhard, Trey Mann, Noah Lokey, Scotty Lewis, and Omar Payne. And I think that Coach Mike is going to go small. He can't go with the same starters that he had last season because they had problems scoring. If so, he'll have the same problems. Instead, he'll need to play guys who can defend and score. For that reason, I have Kevontae Johnson coming off the bench and will start the 5 that I named earlier. Now, at number 6, we have Auburn. Auburn will be without 3 of their top scorers, Bryce Brown, Jared Harper, and Chuma Okey. Returning players Austin Wiley, Samir Dowdy, and Anthony McLemore are all going to have to play bigger roles for this team this coming season. Thankfully, they'll have plenty of help. Auburn has added the top 50 freshmen in the country in Isaac Okoro and top 100 freshman Tyler Jones. Auburn is still in good shape, and I expect them to return to the NCAA tournament next season. And my projected 5 for this team is Tyrell Jones, Samir Dowdy, Isaac Okoro, Austin Wiley, and Anthony McLemore. Now at number 7 is LSU. I got LSU next because I like Will Wade. I think he's an excellent coach and he has proven it last season. Hadn't he got suspended last season, LSU would probably have went further than they did. He has a lot of good players returning coupled with a very good recruiting class. Returning is point guard Skylar May and Javonte Smart and Marion Taylor, all who had started in several games last season. Coach Wade should look for power forward Emmett Williams to play a bigger role this coming season. Wade has also added a top 25 ranked freshman in Trendon Watford. He's a big man who plays like a shooting guard. He's going to be exciting to watch. Hopefully, Wade finds a way to get this team to play better defense than they did last season. LSU was ranked 220th in the nation and 13th in the SEC in defense last season. And my projected 5 for this team is Skylar Mays, Javonte Smart, Marlon Taylor, Emmett Williams, and Trendon Watford. At number 8 is Alabama. To be honest with you, I think that this team was better with Tevin Mack on the roster, but he won't be returning, so there's no need to cry over spilled milk. However, Alabama still has a pretty good roster to work with. Their first and third best scorers on the teams are returning in Kyra Lewis Jr. and John Petty. This small but quick team is just right for Nate Oates' run-and-gun coaching style, so it isn't a mystery why Coach Oates added another point guard and James Bolden to the roster. Bolden transferred from West Virginia as a grad transfer. Let's just hope that Bolden is 100%. He only played in 18 games last season due to an ankle sprain early in the season. Bolden averaged 12.2 points, 2.6 rebounds, and 2.5 assists per game last season. My projected starting 5 for Alabama is Kyra Lewis Jr., Herbert Jones, John Petty, Jawan Gary, and Alex Reese. Alex Reese should be expected to play a bigger role in the offense next season. At number 9, I have Georgia. By the end of next season, this Georgia team is more than likely going to be one of the most improved teams in the SEC. Coach Tom Crean has put together a very good roster for this 2019-2020 season. Crean plays a fast, up-tempo style of offense, and this roster is designed to do just that. Georgia had problems at the point guard last season. To address this, he added Northeastern graduate transfer Donnell Gresham, who is a big-bodied point guard who can see the floor and bully his way to the hole. Playing alongside of him in the backcourt is top 10 ranked freshman Anthony Edwards, who will probably be in line for freshman of the year before it's all over. He's a high-flying beast who could score at will. He is definitely a one and done. He fits perfectly into Crean's system because he likes to run. My projected starting five for Georgia is Donnell Gresham, Anthony Edwards, Christian Brown, Nicholas Claxton, and Rayshawn Hammonds. Now coming in at number 10 is Tennessee. This is not the same Tennessee team as the 2018-2019 team by far. This is still an NCAA tournament capable team, however. Jordan Bowden and Yves Pons will more than likely be asked to play bigger roles on this team. The both of them started in a few games with the team in 2018-2019. However, I'm kind of skeptical about the depth on this team. The good news is that Tennessee will have top 25 ranked freshman Josiah Jordan James on the roster for 2019-2020. He is a big body guard who plays like a point guard. He is 6'7" with great court vision. He can also defend. He can see the floor better than any other point guard out there. We'll probably see him taking the ball up the court a lot on this team. And my projected starting five for this team is Lamonte Turner, Josiah Jordan James, Jordan Bowden, Yves Pons, and Zach Kent. Coming in at number 11 is Texas A&M. Texas A&M should get back all three of their top scorers from the 2018-2019 season in T.J. Starks, Wendell Mitchell, and Savion Flagg. Returning players J.J. Chandler and Josh Nebo will probably be expected to play bigger roles on this team. Coach Buzz is an offensive-minded coach who likes to see his team run. This team is built for a Buzz Williams coaching style. Emmanuel Miller is a great defensive player. Expect scoring to improve with this team and defense and rebounds to lack. But this Texas A&M team could do some damage. Be very careful playing them. My projected starting five is T.J. Starks, Wendell Mitchell, Savion Flagg, J.J. Chandler, and Josh Nebo. And at number 12 is South Carolina. Hopefully this team could stay healthy. Justin Minaya suffered a knee injury in practice. TJ Moss was also hurt with an ankle sprain. Can Jay Bolden help at the point guard position? South Carolina wasn't very good moving the ball last season. Now my projected starting five for this team is J.L. Bolden, A.J. Lawston, Justin Minaya, Keyshawn Bryant, and Malik Kotsar. South Carolina didn't have a very good recruiting class to me, but transfer Jared Bolden from George Washington should do well with this team. Now coming in at 13 is Missouri. The lack of a front court kept Missouri from advancing in the SEC last season. Missouri will be without a real star now that Jonte Porter has decided to stay in the pros. With Evansville transfer guard Drew Smith joining the team, Missouri should improve in scoring and the ball should move a little better. Missouri ranked 312th in the nation and 14th in the SEC in assists per games last season. This team should do well next season with the addition of freshman power forward Trey Jackson. Jackson plays big around the rim and should complement Smith on the scoring end. My starting five for this team is Drew Smith, Mark Smith, Javonte Pickett, Trey Jackson, and Jeremiah Tillman. Now coming in at 14 is Vanderbilt. This team has a new coach in Jerry Stackhouse. Fortunately for Coach Stackhouse, the top two scorers, Sabian Lee and Aaron Naismith, should be returning. Redshirt Ejike Obina and last season reserve player Clavon Brown should be expected to play a bigger role on this team. However, this team doesn't have the personnel to push to the top of the SEC. Now my starting five for this team is Sabian Lee, Jordan Wright, Aaron Naismith, Clavon Brown, and Ejike Obina. So let's go back over our SEC ranking for 2019-2020. At number 1, we have Kentucky. At number 2, Ole Miss. At number 3, Arkansas. Number 4, Mississippi State. Number 5, Florida. Number 6, Auburn. Number 7, LSU. Number 8, Alabama. Number 9, Georgia. At 10, Tennessee. Number 11, Texas A&M. Number 12, South Carolina. Number 13, Missouri. And 14, Vanderbilt. And so much for that. Now for some college basketball news. On May 27, 2019, Mississippi hired Coach Keith Carter to serve as interim athletic director. Carter takes over after Ross Bajork left the team to take the athletic director job at Texas A&M. The University of Ohio's head coach Don Berline was placed on a 10-day administrative leave, according to the Associated Press. The punishment was handed down for the coach violating NCAA rules. On May 30, 2019, the Army hired Mike Buddy as athletic director. Buddy will replace former director Boo Carrigan. North Dakota hired Paul Sather to take the head coaching job left open by Coach Brian Jones, who stepped down after 13 years with the team. On May 31, 2019, ex-NBA player Paul Pressey was named special assistant to St. John's new head coach Mike Anderson. And that concludes our needle moving portion of our show. And now we'll move on to our new Coach Impact segment of our show. In this new Coach Impact segment, we will be discussing coaches who have been head coach of a particular Division I basketball team for no more than 5 years and who are on the upward trend towards taking that team to another level. This week's new Coach Impact highlights Coach Kermit Davis of Ole Miss. Since taking over the job at Ole Miss last season, Coach Davis has had this team competing in the SEC. He was named the SEC Coach of the Year after the 2019 season. Coach Davis has this Ole Miss team set to make a run for the top of the SEC this season. Coach Davis has successfully catapulted this team into the national spotlight. Now that concludes our show for this week. Join us next week at the same time and the same channel for new episodes. We'll be happy to take on your questions and comments on Twitter for our next episode. Our Twitter handle is at D1 Coach Corner. That is at D1 Coach Corner. See you next week.